And whenever
Hey,
you
Greg.
think it's wise, go ahead and.
Okay.
We're getting some serious lag here.
Okay, and he walked away. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that we can talk for a minute and they can see us. Can you guys see us now?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We miss you all. I'll start sharing that screen again in a minute, but Greg asked Chris and I to talk to you about prospecting. And to be quite honest with you, prospecting today is not that much different than prospecting 2 months ago, except that you need to make a decision about what you're prospecting for. If you are prospecting, if you have made a personal decision to not put yourself at risk and be out there in the public right now, then you're probably thinking to yourself, how in the world am I going to do business? Or how am I going to, why would I prospect to put myself in a position that I don't want to be in? I can tell you, I have made a personal decision that I am not out in public right now, but I am still prospecting every single day. And my goal for prospecting are twofold. The first thing is I partnered with an amazing, brilliant agent who is not at risk like I am, and who feels comfortable being out there right now. And we've worked together and created a situation where she is my legs. So if you are in a position where you don't want to be out there, work with somebody in the office that doesn't mind being out there and still do business. We are in this for the long term. This is not going to go away in the next week or two. And we all still need to eat and we all still need to be successful. And more importantly, especially right now, we need to feel successful. So you may have to run your business just a little bit differently. But when you decide to prospect, you need to decide what you're prospecting for. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, and why don't you jump in? Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. I'll jump in.
Okay.
I'll jump in. You're rolling.
I'm really not, but all right. So let's talk about what makes sense in prospecting. Hold on. It's not going to let me move forward with this. Hold on. Oh, well. Oh, there we go. All right.
All right.
So if you are comfortable meeting with people, showing homes, listing homes, attending inspections, and doing all those things, then really your business has not much changed. Of the people who are on, if you want to unmute your mic for a minute or answer in the chat, what is the ratio of folks who has changed their business? If you just want to put in the chat, changed, or who hasn't changed, either changed or unchanged, just write it in the chat or unmute and let us know so that we can get an idea of who's doing business differently and who isn't.
I'm doing the same, but I don't work with strangers per se. My people are usually referrals, so I haven't changed what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you so much.
I tried to message that, but it says chat and channel meetings is only available to team members, so I don't know why it's. I just could type that out, but that's not working on my side.
You may have an outside email, and so that's kind of why it says that. Don't sweat too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like a lot. Well, of the people that are answering, we got about 5 answers, and only one has changed besides Brenda and I. Most people say of the rest, they haven't changed.
Okay, so if you're comfortable with how you're doing business, then let's move on. If you're looking for business now, you want business right now, probably the best and most successful business is going to come from either circle prospecting or pond leads. And what circle prospecting is, if you have a buyer that is looking in a specific area, I don't know how you guys are, but right now I've written 6 contracts in the last 3 weeks, and most of them are multiple offers. Most of them, the houses have only been on the market a day or two. We're fighting. There is not a lot of inventory out there still. So if you've got a buyer that's looking in a specific area, getting the phone numbers for that area and calling those folks and telling them that they have a hot commodity right now and that now might be a time to list their home because you have a buyer that's looking in the area can be very, very successful. I actually have 2 buyers right now that I'm going to be calling for starting this week or next. And if anybody wants to take that over, I am totally happy to give you that area and tell you where it is and what my buyer is looking for. And you can call for listings because it is crazy out there right now.
So I'm going to jump in real quick. So with the mindset of the COVIDs, and yes, I sound like a 90-year-old man.
Put the preposition in there.
Put the preposition in there. So the mindset for me and some of what Brenda is, you know, you guys all know I love to harp on expireds, you know, prospect expireds. Well, right now that's ridiculous. Nobody's going to prospect expireds. There aren't any expireds. So we also have to understand what the market is doing right now. And what the market is doing right now is multiple offers, lots of buyers, no listings, listings selling in a heartbeat. Like Brenda said, she's been in 6 in the last 2 weeks and maybe got, I don't know, maybe a third of them because they got beat out by multiple offers. So we have to look at what works. And right now, what works is going after listings, not prospecting expireds, and probably not prospecting FSBOs. Because if you're out there prospecting FSBOs and they're still on the market, that means there's something wrong with the house. So we got to look at different ways. So that's kind of what we've been doing, is looking at different ways. And that's why Brenda started with circle prospecting. That's kind of my mindset and her mindset. Normal stuff doesn't work because of the market we're in.
That's it. And circle prospecting is very, very successful right now because you're calling for a purpose. Whenever you're prospecting, and I know you guys, if you've ever taken a class from either one of us, you've heard us say this 1,000 times. If you're calling someone, especially a stranger, but if you're calling anybody, you've got to call for a reason. If you just call, hi, this is Brenda from Better Homes and Gardens. Are you or someone you know thinking of buying or selling now or in the near future? They're not going to talk to you. They're just not going to talk to you. But if you call them and say, hey, this is Brenda, and I'm working with a buyer, and I made my buyer a promise that I would give everyone in your neighborhood a call and see if you're thinking of selling in the near future, because they want to live in your area and there's nothing available. And the first thing they're going to tell you is there's a sign down the street or whatever. Either that home doesn't work for my buyers because it's a 5-bedroom and they only want a 4, or it's a 3-bedroom and they need a 5, or I know there's one down the street and it's pending, and it went pending in 2 days. Have you thought about selling it all? Because if you were thinking about hanging on until next spring when this was over, it may be a better time to do it now.
Sorry.
And if you're thinking of selling, but you really don't know if you want to put it on the market, what about a 1-day listing just so I can bring my buyer through? So getting in the door is an amazing opportunity right now. And in any area that you're looking, there's just not a lot available. So breaking it down to sell to owners who might not have any idea what the true market is a very, very powerful thing. Another thing that is working very well right now is what I call pond leads. All of us, most of us, have a group of or a parcel of past leads that have either fallen by the wayside, said 3 months ago that they were going to wait, said 6 months ago that they were going to wait. You started talking to them and then somehow either you didn't follow up or they didn't follow up, and they're basically dead leads.
These are not past clients. This is not
No.
circle of influence. This is internet stuff. This is Zillow
Sign
leads,
calls,
Boomtown, whatever you guys
open
use.
house visitors.
A giant pool of dead stuff, but now they're not dead anymore.
They're not dead anymore. Interest rates just went down yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw the news, but interest rates went down yesterday. And mortgages, although many national lenders are doing things like stopping all FHA and VA loans, many other lenders are ramping up their social programs. Ameritrust right now has an amazing zero down program. Mike Gonzalez from, I can't remember who, MGT.
We're not pushing anybody.
Sorry, I'm not recommending anyone person, but MGT Mortgage has a zero down program that is an FHA product where it's 2 mortgages and the first one is 96.5% and the second one is 3.5% for an FHA mortgage. It's essentially zero down and you can still get 6% help from the sellers. Those programs are out there. So buyers who are hearing on the national news, if you don't have a 680 credit score, you can't get a loan, they're thinking, well, wait, I'm out of the deal now. You call them up from your pond leads or leads that were dead and explain to them that there are actual opportunities out there for them to purchase right now. They will get back in the game.
Which then generates you a position to circle prospect on because there isn't anything out there for them to buy. So it kind of feeds itself.
Now the other thing that you can do for now business is call your circle of influence. Call the people that you know, because I promise you, conservative folks are thinking that now is not the time to sell or buy. Now is not the time to make that happen. And folks who are a little more aggressive are thinking right now about in the next 6 to 18 months becoming investors. This is what I have been experiencing when I call my circle of influence, and I started calling them for just to check up on them, just to see what was going on, just to see how they were doing, to let them know, hey, I'm quarantining myself. I've been thinking about you. I want you to know I'm here for you. If you need anything, if you have any questions, let me know. And what's ending up happening is the conversations that I'm getting into are, well, I know in the next, 12 to 18 months, there's going to be a ton of foreclosures on the, in the market. So I'm thinking about starting to invest. Nationally, if you watch the national news or if you read the national news, they're saying that there is a significant number of forbearance, folks that are going to forbearance on their mortgage. And unfortunately, if they didn't ask the right questions, more than likely in 12 to 18 months, they are going to be in a position where they will either need to refinance out, sell their home, or go to foreclosure, because forbearance is a evil thing that the banks are doing right now. So my recommendation is call your circle of influence and ask them what they think of real estate right now. Yeah, go right ahead. That's what they're thinking about real estate right now. Are they thinking of buying or selling in the next little bit? Did they know interest rates are going down? Have they any interest in investing? If they know you're in real estate, when you call and just tell them that you're thinking about them, if they're on furlough or not working, they are bored stiff and so happy to hear from another human being that doesn't live in their house. They talk to you. It is so awesome. When I first started calling my past clients, I was not really all that excited about calling them because any of you that know me know I don't do it well. And I don't do well with random chatter. I called him and just told him I'm missing hugs. I want you to know I'm thinking of you. How you doing? You okay? Do you need anything? And every one of them, we started talking real estate. Some of them talked to me about, we were thinking about doing that forbearance thing. What do you think? Some of them thanked me because I did a video about 4 weeks ago on Facebook about not doing forbearance, and thanked me because they didn't do it when they thought they should. So those kind of things, it is a really good idea to call your past clients with a purpose.
I'm going to pop in for a minute. Going back to the pond leads that Brenda just talked about. A lot of you say, a lot of you that are on, I see some of the names that are on here. A lot of you may not have pond leads. A lot of you may not have that. You may have a past clients, but you don't have just 100 or 200 or 1,000 names sitting around. Well, you got to go and do the same thing we just talked about with the circle prospecting. Find the agents that have a bunch of pond leads that they're not using or they're willing to share and partner with them. Now with the circle prospecting, they're probably you have a buyer or they have a buyer and you go call and you do your own work and everything is good. With the pond leads, these people have paid for those leads, they have cultivated those leads, however they got them, they did work. So if you're going to use someone else's pond leads, that's great and you can share with it, but expect that person to ask for a referral from them. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's not going to be something that's going to be just free of charge because somebody has cultivated those leads somewhere. Circle prospecting is a little bit different, but I guess what I'm getting at is don't be afraid to talk to someone in the office or Brenda or whoever that has a gigantic pond that you can fish in. Just expect that if you get some of those names that you're going to be paying them a 25% referral or 20% referral or whatever it is they ask you for. Some agents out there may say, go ahead, go fishing all you want. That's just fine. But expect, because they have put effort and money into it. But it's a good way, because if you're fishing in somebody's pond and you get a lead and you pay them a 25% referral, that's something you'd never have anyway. So we can all pull together in this time and share our ponds. We can share our circle prospecting, but the normal stuff doesn't work. The right now, the expireds and the FSBOs, yeah, maybe you might get lucky, but you got to expand in your thinking, and we got to kind of pull together. Just like Brenda said, you can use my buyers for circle prospecting. And anybody out there that's interested in the pond. So I just wanted to come back to that a little bit and ask, because I know there's some people out there saying, well, this is all great information, but I got no pond to go in. Well, other agents do. So, and that's how you can come together.
Absolutely. I am happy to share my pond for a 25% referral. If anybody wants to call them, you are more than welcome to. It's not a problem with me, and I'm sure that there are other agents in the office that would be willing to do the same thing, and they are very, very successful. As far as expireds, anybody who knows me knows that I am regularly on top of expireds. In the last month, there have been 8 in our whole MLS. 8 expireds. That's insane. So that's part of what we were talking about.
So Brenda, on that circle, if you have a buyer looking in a certain area, how do you get those phone numbers?
We have a book at the office. I don't know how up to date it is, and I can't remember the name of it right now.
It's probably the crappiest way to do it, not to disagree with Brenda, but the Polk manuals is Polk, P-O-L-K. We have Polk manuals at the office. They haven't been updated since like 2018 because they're like $700 a book. And they're only for Wichita. So if you want to do any prospecting in Derby or Goddard or Valley Center, it doesn't work, right? They are there for Wichita. They are a little outdated. Because we found that the amount of data they give for the price they charge was ridiculous. But it is the Polk.
So is it by street or, by?
It's by street. But the other thing that you can do there are, if you Google, you can go to the white pages and get some phone numbers. But if you Google purchase phone numbers, You know, you can get them from several different places. There are considerable resources on the net, and generally they charge very, very little to give those phone numbers.
Yeah, basically what Brenda's saying is you can pay a service that isn't $700 for a book,
Right.
and you can get a download of the phone numbers. Hard to get them for free because like white pages or reverse lookup or something like that doesn't really work anymore, especially with people not having a lot of landlines. But there are services out there that you can get those numbers to do that. The other thing that you can do is if you're looking for an area and you can't find phone numbers, we'll go the old-fashioned way and send them a letter.
Right.
I mean, what the hell are we? We're just sitting around doing anything anyway.
Right.
Send a postcard, whatever, but you can get some phone numbers. I am cheaper than anything. So the first thing that I will try is I will try and do reverse lookup. I will try and do address reverse lookup online and see if I can get them. And if I can get out of an area with 99 homes, if I can get 25 phone numbers, I'll call them before I mail them. And then every single person that you talk to, I don't care, and this goes for any time prospecting, but especially right now, folks who are quarantining themselves or folks who are at home, is human contact of any kind.
No, not
So,
really.
No, but miss human contact. So anyone that you talk to over the phone, send them a note in the mail thanking them for talking to you. It will go farther than you can ever imagine. Even if you talk to someone that says, I have absolutely no desire to sell my home, please don't call me again. Send them a note that says, thank you so much for talking to me. I won't bother you again. But if you hear from one of your neighbors that they're thinking of selling, please let me know.
And I'm going to share two things. Thing one is I see Greg wrote a note that said door knocking and flyers on doors. I'm going to say one thing to that. It's not that I'm disagreeing with Greg, but I had somebody come knock on my door last week, and it was a pest. They were just, hey, we're doing pests. We want to treat for termites and stuff like that. And this poor girl was walking around. This pest company sent this poor girl out, and she was walking around knocking on everybody's door. Jesus Christ, I thought they were going to set the woman on fire. She got to the porches, and it was not a happy scene. I know how I felt when she came to the door. I was like, wouldn't open the door. And, usually I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but assuming to walk up to somebody's house like this pest lady did was bad.
Yes.
So just be careful with that, because you're going to set a lot of people off, and you're going to build up that wall of defense when you're trying to list their house more than you're going to endear yourself to them. So just be careful with that. And
I'm sorry, go ahead. For those of you that can't see the chat, I don't know how many people are reading the chat, but Sherry Proctor also offered a huge pond leads from her open houses at the new subdivision, Cheryl's Hollow. She doesn't have any lots for sale right now, but she would love to share the pond, and for follow-up calls for a 25% referral fee. Most have phone numbers and email addresses. So if you are looking for a good source of pond leads, Sherry Proctor's got a mess of them.
now I know we're running out of time because we're already 5 minutes, but Brenda and I don't
Can I jump in here? Can I jump in here just a second? First off, I wanted to ask a couple of questions. And second, I'm going to tell people they can stay on here as long as everybody wants to. You don't have to leave. But for those that do, I'd like to ask Chris and Brenda first. You guys are busy as all get out. When is the best time to prospect?
I find, yeah, every single day that you're working, you must do something. Real estate is a roller coaster. It goes like this. So what you did, if you're busy now, it is because of what you did 30 or 45 days ago. And I see Tulio agreeing with me because he knows he prospects every single day. The man is a machine. Every single day that you prospect, every single day that you work, you should be prospecting.
Now, I would say, to be more specific, the time frames are different than they used to be. You know, some people would say, you know, don't call at 10 o'clock in the morning because nobody's home, they're all at work. That doesn't hold anymore. You're getting people home at any given time. So not just when do you prospect every day, but what time do you prospect? Anytime you feel best. Most people like to prospect in the morning because you still, you know, you haven't gotten beaten down in the day yet. And today is now is a good time to do that because you got more people at home. Now I know Brenda's still got about a few slides left talking about coming in the future, what's coming in the future and how to work with agents if you're going to try and team with an agent. But I want to circle back to one thing again. Sorry. We haven't talked to anybody in a long time.
I know, we miss you.
So the other thing, whether you're circle prospecting, pond prospecting, whatever you're doing, if you're going into that listing side, not working the buyer side, but if you're going to the listing side, one thing that I have heard Brenda do and one thing that I think is important is when you're talking to these people, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have something in mind on how you're going to keep them safe, what protocols you're going to do, what protocols you're going to institute. Because if you breach that subject with them in the beginning and say, you know, I won't meet with you if you don't want to. We can do it over a Zoom meeting. I can wear masks. I can wear gloves. I can do whatever you want. I'm going to wear a mask and a glove whether you do or not. You know, anything that you can do to make them feel comfortable and answer their questions is a very good thing to help endear yourself to them while you're doing it. Because a lot of people out there, myself included, you know, there is a there is a crap ton of peer pressure out there right now.
You said bad word.
I said bad word. There is so much peer pressure out there for people that want to stay at home, people that want to quarantine, whether they have, you know, medical issues or older family members or whatever reason it is. There is a crap ton of peer pressure out there. Oh, you're being silly. Oh, get out there and do it. Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, it's just, there's all this peer pressure. So if you call somebody on a prospecting call and you tell them, hey, I want to list your house because there's so much money going on out there and blah, 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 and you don't breach the subject with them about how you're going to keep them safe, they're going to feel pressured because they already feel like crap because they're staying home when there's so much peer pressure nationally to get out and do stuff.
And nobody wants to feel pressured when you're trying to get them to use your services. You want them to feel warm and welcomed and so on.
Right.
I'm going to say one more thing and then I'm going to mute and let you guys go on. I put a link in the chat box and I sent it out earlier via email. They are doing at BHG National at noon today. They call it a lead generation challenge. It's got accountability. It's got content. It's got all that stuff. We could try to do it here locally, and if we want to, we could. But if you want to try the national one, I put the link in, and now I'm going to be a silent observer. So you guys take off again.
Chris is absolutely right, and some of you even said it in the written chat that you're following your clients' leads. Talk to them. Talk to them about what makes them feel most comfortable, how to keep them safe if they're concerned about it. Then the pressure to go one way or another is unbelievable. I am making a personal decision to not meet with people right now because it's too risky for me. So I cannot tell you the amount of people who struggle with my decision. Now, I can also tell you that there are a ton of people who are very supportive of me and appreciate the things that I put in place and the systems that I put in place to make sure that they're all set. But there are other people that I talk to. I have one client that has changed nothing in his world at all. He's on furlough and going to continue to be on furlough until the end of May because they can't keep him safe in the job that he does. But every day that I talk to him, he says, "Did you get out of the house yet? You're making me crazy."
Well, I have been sitting next to Brenda when she has been talking to sign calls and prospects and whatnot. and they have called her names. They have berated her. They have told her that she's full of shit. They have told her everything because she chooses to quarantine, or she chooses. So I have heard the people do this. I mean, it's not, hyperbole here. This is real. People are telling her that she's a a jackass, a fearmonger, whatever. So if that's going on with people, that's also in the minds of the people that you're contacting. So part of the prospecting is not just who do I call and when do I call and how do I call, but being prepared to relieve their fears and let them know that whatever way it is, it's okay.
Yep.
If they want to stay home, if they don't want to meet, great, we can do it. If they want to go out, great, we can do it. And I think that's where Brenda's going to go next, is how she's done this. So if you're fearful of it, or if you're not fearful of it and you want to go like crazy, this is what she's done with the prospecting ways that she's done it. Circle of influence, pond, and past circle prospecting has been mostly her ways.
Now, here's the deal. If you're thinking, I mean, obviously from what everybody has said, nobody is, but if you're looking for business for later, it is the same group of people that you're going to be contacting. You're just going to be contacting them a little differently. Your reason for contacting is going to be a little different. It is more important than ever when you're contacting somebody that has for later business that you contact them with a plan. And you need to have systems, goals, and organization to do that. So if you're contacting people, when I first started contacting my circle of influence, my whole thing was, I'm just calling to see how you are, because I never thought in a million years that anybody was going to want to do real estate. So I was just calling to put my name out there, let them know that I am there, and remind them that I'm here and I am more than just the real estate lady. I am someone who cares about them, so that when it's time for them to have a real estate need, they remember that I cared now, so that they would use me later. But the thing of it is that more people wanted to do real estate or want to do real estate than what I thought. And the cool thing about the people that you talk to who know you is they're happy to be honest with you without the judgment. If you're working full steam, they're great with it. They may tell you, I'm not terribly comfortable working that way, but that's just fine. If they're working, if they're very comfortable, they're going to tell you, I'm totally comfortable. So those are the things that contacting people make really easy. However, no matter who you contact, if you're looking for later business, or if you're talking to somebody about, in October, we're going to have an influx of folks who want to do business, you've got to have a system set up so that you don't let them fall through the cracks for October. And if somebody tells you they're thinking about buying or selling 3 months from now, and you just put them in your calendar to contact them 3 months from now, guess what? They're already working with a different agent when you call them. If they're ready to buy later, you need to stay in touch with them on a regular basis. And a regular basis, according to my coach, if they're looking more than 3 months away, you need to contact them at least every 2 weeks so that you don't miss the window when they're ready, because they need to remember you. So you've got to have your systems and your organization set in stone. ZAP is a great program that we already have that will work fine to monitor and maintain and your prospects. If you've got something else, use it. You know what the best CRM is? The one you use. You can have all the top producer. You see what I did there? You can have top producer and pay a freaking fortune for it. But if you don't use it, it's useless. If you have it and you pay a ton for it, but you only use 1% of it, it's absolutely useless. The CRM that works the best is the one you use.
And I'm also going to pop in because that's what I do. So there is a theory out there, which I happen to subscribe to. There is a theory out there that we are going to ebb in the summertime with this COVID thing, and then in the fall there's going to be a big resurgence. Could be, could not be, whatever. But what I'm saying, to piggyback on Brenda, is if you're prospecting for business, or you get later business, or if you're prospecting for later business, you need to make sure that you have your system set in place if we get this giant resurgence. Because I'm going to tell you, if we get this giant resurgence in September, October, or November down here, because hell, I don't even turn my sprinklers off till November here. You know, you're going to have that set up. If we get a resurgence, we're going to go back in a hole, and we're going to run the same program that Brenda's been running through this whole thing. So think about that. I just want you guys to think about it. You're going to prospect every day. You're going to prospect these circles. You're going to prospect these ponds. You're going to prospect however you can do it. And you're going to run across people that don't want to do anything until October, September, November, whatever it is. So not only do you need to keep in contact with them every 2 weeks, like Brenda just said, but also have a plan. If this sucker comes back with a vengeance, you need to have an agent somewhere doing something for you that isn't afraid of it, you know, or is comfortable going out.
If that's not you.
If that's not you.
If you're comfortable, which everybody seems to be, then you're good. But if it's not you, if you want to make a personal choice to not do business in public, you need to have a plan, because no matter what, you still need to eat, you still need to pay your mortgage, you still need to pay your bills. So have a plan in place.
That's right. No matter how you do it. But I think those are the big ones that we're working on right now: circle prospecting, pond leads, and circle of influence, because the other ones just are just lame right now. They're just not there. You know, of course, internet leads and sign leads, they're always there. The more signs you get, that's great. But to generate those, that's what we're concentrating on. Those are the plans that we have as far as safety, about making others feel comfortable. And if you need a team, not really a team, but if you need another agent that you partner with, if you don't feel comfortable going out the house, do that too.
Does anybody have any questions? All right.
All right,
awesome.
we answered them all. Yes.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, the answer is 42.
That's right. Anyone? Guess.
I want to go back.
It's like, whatever. That's awesome.
I want to go back to one comment, because it's so important. It's people continually forget about it. Right now in our office, we have some people that are swamped. Chris and Brenda are swamped. Lance is swamped. Sandra's swamped. Cheryl's swamped. I mean, these people are running around saying, I don't have enough time in the day. And folks, it's because they were prospecting 3 months ago. You know, you can't expect to pick up the phone today and business is going to be there tomorrow. This is all about building relationships. So even if nothing else, you know, as Chris said, there could be a resurgence. Yeah. And there might not be a resurgence. But either way, what you do today is going to be what your business is this fall. Do not give up if you want to succeed.
This is the most wonderful and frustrating business ever, because when you work on things, you very rarely see immediate results. So you think to yourself, oh my gosh, this isn't working, and you stop doing it. And then inexplicably, 2 weeks later, you're busier than anything, and you're like, look, I didn't do anything and I was busy. This is so awesome. It's a trick. It's an absolute trick of the industry, because what happens is the stuff you didn't think worked seasoned and came to fruition when you were doing nothing. However, as soon as that stuff dries up, you got nothing else going on. You know why? Because you didn't prospect. And I know it sucks, but that's the reality.
yes, Pam, to answer your question, Brenda did do a video on forbearance. It's this really nice little burlesque number that she did. It was great.
I had a feather boa. It was so cool.
It was awesome.
But I am doing another one this afternoon, actually, as soon as we're done with this, because, you know, I put on makeup, why waste it? So
The forbearance thing, not the burlesque.
right. Well, okay, I'm doing both, but
Right. See, we miss you guys.
Yes, I did do a forbearance video. I am doing another one today because so many people are being told by the national media that forbearance is your best option. And if you're struggling to make your payments, do a forbearance. It's so good. It's such a great thing. And it is an awful, horrible thing that there was legislation, there was significant legislation that they tried to get passed in an emergency, to get an emergency thing passed to change the forbearance rules, and it didn't work. It would not get passed. So forbearance is the same as it was back when we had this mess in 2007, 8, 9, 10. And that is just horrific. So I won't get into it here because it's a whole big thing, but I will be doing a video this afternoon, and I will send Greg, more information about forbearance that he can share any way he wants.
Amen to that, Sherry. That's a hell of a stat, and that's true.
Sherry typed, for those of you that are not reading the chat, only 5% of those in 2008 that were able to get a note modification. The other 95% lost their homes. The challenge
is bad.
Yeah, the challenge with forbearance is you call your lender and the lender says, you know, sure, you can skip a couple payments, don't worry about it. They allow you to skip a minimum of 3. You can't just skip 1. You have a minimum of 3 or 6. You can skip 3 or you can skip 6. When that time frame is up, they call the entire amount due for those 3 months or those 6 months. If you can't pay that amount, they begin foreclosure proceedings. So they can't start foreclosing until you're 3 months behind. Well, lo and behold, that's why they allow you to do 3 or 6. You don't have to make the payments at that time, but at the end, you have to make all of them.
Hey, and do you guys think that might be a really nice thing to know and understand if you're prospecting for listings and someone says, oh, hey, I just did a forbearance, I don't have to sell my house? Might be something good to know.
Now, here's what's going to happen, and this is what is going to suck. And I am not getting political at all, but when we have the election in November, if it changes hands, if our government changes hands, in 12 to 18 months, all of these people that did forbearance because they couldn't make their payments, and then 3 to 6 months from now, that money is due and they can't make those payments, so they lose their houses. If we have a change in leadership, that person is going to be, that new president is going to be saddled with foreclosures being on the rise because of something that happened now that didn't have anything to do with anything. If we have the same president, it's going to be the same thing. That president is going to be straddled with being responsible for these foreclosures because these people are doing forbearance because they can't make their payments, not because they don't want to.
I think what she's saying is no matter who's in charge, there's no magic bullet. It ain't gonna get fixed.
And when this starts to happen, the economy is going to have a hiccup, whatever that hiccup looks like. I do not believe, if you read any of the experts, it is not going to be a 2008 miserable, holy crap thing. It's not going to be that, but it is going to be a challenge. So as much as we can prevent, as much as we can warn, and as much as we can help is what we're here for.
Right. And again, part of the prospecting thing, because we went, this whole thing was prospecting, know this stuff. So when you call these people and they say, I did it, or I'm thinking about doing it. I remember 2 weeks ago, Brenda was on the phone for like, I don't know, and 2 hours. And I said to her, what the hell are you doing? Come on. 90 Day Fiance is on. Let's go. And she's she had to explain the whole forbearance thing to somebody because somebody went ahead and did it and followed the paperwork, and now they got a shitstorm that they're in.
Mhm.
So it's something that can help in your prospecting.
And Kim, if anybody was reading the chat, Kim said maybe lenders are doing other options, like just adding unpaid months to the end of the loan. Some credit unions are doing that. Some credit unions are doing that. However, any government-backed loan or mortgage-backed security, they are not allowed to do that. That was part of what the legislation that they were trying to get passed, was to allow 1 month or 2 months because of COVID to just be added to the end. So if your mortgage was supposed to pay off in September of 2043, it would now pay off in November of 2043. It didn't pass.
We should let these people go.
Yep.
It's been going on too long.
Not to mention the government is printing free money right now to forgive all these PPP loans and all these other loans. They're just basically printing money and giving it away because they don't have any money to
I
give
want some.
away.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I ain't got no free money yet, bastards.
Anyway, and again, we can keep this going as long as you want. I want to thank you guys very, very much for doing this. It was wonderful for you to do your time in the PowerPoint, and I really appreciate it. And I think everybody on the call appreciates it. And it's nice to see you guys again. We've missed you. So thank
We
you.
missed you too.
Did we help anybody? Did anybody get anything out of here that they think they can use to make some money?
Yes, Brenda.
That's the most important thing.
Yes, Brenda, thank you.
My pleasure. And does anybody have any questions at all?
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording and people can stay and chat all they want.
We miss you guys. We love you
Miss
all.
Hugs back, Michelle.